Hello, Dr. WAGMI. We are very happy to having you with us today to present the Forge. As it's written over here, the Forge is coming, right?
That's right. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I really respect what you guys are doing with the Farmy and excited to talk about the Forge.
So maybe to begin with, Dr. WAGMI, can you give us a bit of your background and how did you discover Aavegotchi and all of that?
Sure. So I'm a physician by education and training. I've been in practice for about 5 years now. And during my residency back in 2016, kind of fell down the rabbit hole of cryptocurrency and really just fell in love with all its potential. Got really into decentralized finance, its applications, and when Polygon started coming out and developing, I was interested in DeFi applications on there. I stumbled across Aavegotchi and their liquidity pools and what friends were and the idea of friends for raffle tickets and using NFTs to win other NFTs and just the vast potential of Web3 gaming. And I have been hooked ever since.
So maybe to begin with, I think it would interest the audience to know what did bring you the idea of the Forge, and maybe you can tell us a bit more about the creative process that is behind this project.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm really passionate about the Aavegotchi community and how we can be sustainable, both economically and creatively. And definitely over the last year, through a pretty difficult bear market, but also through some difficulties within the Aavegotchi economy, we were meeting significant roadblocks. We had turned off friends, basically no more raffles. It felt like no new content was coming out. And I knew for myself that these were the events that brought me to Aavegotchi in the first place. That made me excited to be a part of the community. And if we just shut everything down, turned everything off because we were worried about inflation, I was pretty sure we were going to just keep bleeding users. So I was really interested in trying to solve this dilemma, how we can get more content out. And to do so, we really needed to have a good idea of what was being inflated. And then if we could kind of abstract the different parts of what give our assets value into different tokens, and then really finally control the inflation of the different aspects, and then allow for new content via schematics, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. And as far as creative process goes, I think like so many of us, I grew up playing video games and MMORPGs, whether it was RuneScape or World of Warcraft or Tibia was one of my favorites. But in so many of these games, there's a forging mechanism. You can create, you can build up your skills and level them up. And I saw a path to kind of gamify the process of forging, of making these wearables or smelting them down. And that would also allow us to have fine control of the economics. So it was a perfect mix of my interest in DeFi and economics and video games that came together to create the Forge.
Very interesting. Yeah, a great source of inspiration, I guess. So the main issue the Forge tries to solve, it's inflation, right? And it's directly applied to the wearables, the functionalities that the Forge is trying to build and is going to build. So we're going to come back to that after, quite in detail. But maybe just to go through this, maybe you could tell us a bit more about the team working with you and how did it grew, this team?
Right. Absolutely. The team is who is bringing this to life. I don't have many technical skills, whether it's in smart contract work or the art or really the finer points of the economy. And so the team around me is who made this possible. So Mikey J, he's a longtime community member, did all the economics, and he's just an amazing contributor and a serial entrepreneur and invaluable, both to this project and Aavegotchi as a whole. Diddlypoo now rebranded as Diddly, is our smart contract and user interface guy who completed all the smart contracts recently and is now working on the user interface. And Notorious BTC, who's also rebranded to Oliver Spoon, did all of our art and contributed to the UI, and then really started this work kind of months and months ago. But we used what he had as a foundation from the economic standpoint, and we're all friends online. We don't know each other's real names, but that's the beauty of Web3, of decentralized gaming, is that we're passionate about this project. We have different skill sets, complementary skill sets, and we're able to come together, apply those, and build something really novel and really cool that I hope Aavegotchi is excited about.
Yeah, the whole crew together working to go in the same direction. It's nice. Okay, so maybe the first question that everybody's asking is, where would be the Forge hosted? We just saw today a big alpha coming. It's a new piece of material that was just released. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about it, and also maybe bringing the idea about where it would be hosted on Aavegotchi website or somewhere else.
Absolutely. We are really committed to decentralization and the protocol. I think the four of us in the Forge team are real protocol maxis. And by that, we mean that we want anyone to be able to build an interface to interact with the protocol and interact with the forging mechanic. We didn't want to gatekeep it to just having to be in the Gotchiverse to engage with the protocol. And so the way it's going to be initially is we're building the user interface. It should hopefully be on the main app.aavegotchi.com website. But anyone, you guys included, could build an interface that interacts with the smart contracts. And there'll be some cool data to consider, like what's the price of alloy, or what are the available schematics, or like what are all the things that I could forge. There'll be a lot of fun things to develop to make it a more seamless user experience that's catered to different communities. And that'll be possible through kind of this open protocol that anyone can engage with. So initially, the main website, but long-term vision is anyone can build the way to forge or how you interact with it, including pixelcraft if they want to build a little installation or some area in the Gotchiverse where you can go to and do the forging there, then they can do that. It's open to everybody.
It could be very cool to do that also in the Gotchiverse, yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, so how do we use the Forge then? Two main process to describe, I guess. Forging and smelting, right?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Mm-hmm. So maybe we can begin by forging. I don't know, smelting maybe? What do you prefer?
Sure. We'll start with smelting because I think that's how most users will start off interacting. Because in order to get some of these components, people are going to need to break their wearables down. And breaking those wearables down, the term for that is smelting. And basically you will choose your item, you smelt it, and then it turns into its core components, the schematics, the cores, and the alloy. And then you can use that alloy to go into any new wearable that you want. That's what's so cool about alloy, is it's the tokenization of the entire wearables market. So you can take your common body, smelt a bunch of the common bodies, and then use that alloy, and you could make a godlike. And that ability to kind of progress, to save up or loot more alloy and make newer, cooler wearables was really exciting to me, to have a sense of progression in the game. And then the cores that you'll have, there's 36 different cores, one for each very specific slot in rarity. This is what allows us to really finely tune inflation by the exact individual slot. And then the schematic. So for you, if you had your fireball in hand and you go to smelt it, you will get the fireball schematic. There will only ever be 1,000 of those schematics. The Forge doesn't allow for any more of those, and it doesn't burn them so that there would be any less if you smelt it. This maintains that hard cap of that individual design and the traits that it confers. So while it seems complicated, I think that this process is going to make sense, and it'll feel pretty intuitive because you'll kind of have a little blueprint of it with the schematic, and you can keep that or you could sell it. You could use that core to make something of like the same, like for the fireball, you could have a new common hand item that maybe fit your gotchi better. You could use that hand core and the alloy you got to do that. Or you could save up your alloy and do what you want with it. And the essence, the last part, is in pets and in godlike items, and is a really, really cool, probably slept on component of what the Forge is debuting, because it tokenizes the entire Aavegotchi market, and that composability allows for a lot of really cool things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very interesting. So for the people that didn't hear at that point about the Forge, so when you smelt, you get three things, right? You get a schematic, which is like I would say the image of your wearable. You get a core that you just described, and you get alloy. And sometimes, no, you never get essence when you're smelting, right?
That's correct. Yep. If there was essence in it and then you smelt it, it's gone forever. The life force escapes back into the ether or the gotchiverse, and functionally serves to kind of burn little bits of gotchis.
Yeah. So we're going to come back to that when we're going to talk about forging, I guess, to explain the essence. Okay, right. So you smelt a wearable, you take a schematic, core, some alloy, and after that, with that, and maybe something else, you could have the ability to forge a new wearable, right?
Correct. And all of these components will be available to buy and sell on the bazaar. So if you're missing one, or you want to forge a specific item, and you have the core that you need, you have the alloy that you need, you just need to buy the schematic from the bazaar. So you'll make sure to have those items in your wallet. You'll choose the gotchi that you want to forge with to make sure that they get the XP and the smithing skill of leveling up. And I should be clear, it's just smithing skill. You're not getting any XP as we know it in Aavegotchi. But yeah, you can bring those and forge your new item, and it takes a varying amount of time, from 1 day for a common to quite a long time for a godlike item. And you can speed that up with glitter, which is a really fun kind of nod to the glitter token, and lets us incorporate one of the Gotchiverse tokens into this process in a way that will hopefully kind of create demand for that token, and just create a pattern of a use case for using these native tokens in our ecosystem.
Yes, for sure. I think the example of the Emperor mustache is perfect, because you mentioned that you can use a common wearable. So I imagine that you have the schematic of the mustache, you have the core for face and common type of wearable, you have some alloy, the right amount. So for the people that don't know, at the end of the blog that you posted, I think, Dr. WAGMI, you have all the numbers for the alloy you need. I think the amount is related to the rarity of the wearable you want to create, right? That's
correct. Yep, it's that top graph there, and 100 for a common, and then 130,000 for a godlike. And this is a really key decision for us, like how much alloy does each rarity tier hold? And we worked really hard on that number and put it in front of the DAO, and this is kind of what we came up with for the respective ratios.
Yes. Okay. So after that, you need to wait for some time. It depends on the rarity, but as you mentioned, you can spend some glitter in order to accelerate the process. We had a question about that. It seems that the number of blocks is fixed right now. Do you think in time that number should change according to the price of GLTR, or is it something that is going to stay like this?
That's a good question. I think that this would be a variable that the DAO could modify if we went. If it was too cheap or too expensive, I think we could go back for it. And that's one of the fun things about this project is the DAO can kind of monitor it and weigh in, especially as Glitter is a pretty highly inflationary token. This might need to be addressed later.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, the DAO would be would play a center role into this, right? Would have a lot of variables, or maybe the issuance of new schematics. It could be related to DAO decisions, right?
Right. I think that's what's so fun about this project is giving the DAO the different levers or the different tools to control the forge. So whether it's glitter for the polygon blocks, whether it's the amount of alloy that's burnt when you smelt, so you don't get the full amount back. A little bit is burnt, and some of that's burnt forever, some of it goes to the DAO, and that's a variable that we can change if we think that's too expensive or not expensive enough. It's really, really important for us to have those levers to modify and adjust to the market as we need.
Yes, also about variability. We had a question, I think that Cebu that raised that. Is there a risk of failure when you forge an item? It seems that right now it's not mentioned in the blog post, so I don't think so. But do you think it would be an idea to bring that kind of not being sure that the process of creation would succeed?
Right. Initially, I liked that idea, but after getting quite a bit of feedback from the Forge team and the community, we did want to put in a VRF, like a chance of something happening, but we thought it could be more fun to make it a chance of winning something or getting a reward or a positive thing instead of a chance of failure. And we really want to incentivize people to engage with the protocol, to use the Forge. And it hasn't been fully announced yet, but there will be a chance of getting something fun when you forge. And for further Forge installations in the future or Forge expansions, we're coming up with even more ideas for a chance of getting something cool and good and valuable to further incentivize engagement. So more buffs, less nerfs was one of our guiding principles. Yeah, I like that. And because it's also mentioned that the smelting could bring you something cool, like a secret. It's also a way to incentivize people and engagement, right? Correct. Yep, the first bonus engagement item will be from smelting, and later expansions will have what you get that's fun when you forge. So look forward to something popping up when you smelt, and I think people are going to be really excited about it.
Could we have a bit more alpha about that, or is it still a secret?
Still a secret. Look forward to some of the mechanics of that being posted here soon. But know that when this goes live, you'll be able to win something. But what is inside of it, or what the secret is, will be clear here in a couple weeks. Wait until we have our full post out on it. We're just fine-tuning some of the mechanics now, and that's worth a talk on its own later, because I think these are going to be pretty fun.
Okay, cool. I had to try.
I appreciate it. I would do the same.
The next subject is about the other mechanics existing in Aavegotchi, like renting or locked gotchis, or also gotchis that are listed on the bazaar. It's written that you don't risk anything, that your variable can't be smelt if your gotchi is rented or if it's locked in any other places. Do you confirm that, right? That's
correct. Our guiding principle, our goal here was to make sure our wearables are safe. And initially, we were trying to think of how we could monetize your smithing skill. Like, could you lend out your gotchi that has a good smithing skill because it's valuable now? But there were some issues with that. And at least for the initial release of the Forge, if it's listed for sale or if it's rented out, it can't be used to forge anything or to claim anything. So it's got to be in your wallet that you're using to engage in the game in order to forge or claim, and that's to ensure maximum safety of all of our assets. We might be able to do some fun things later where we can like whitelist and kind of approve like different people to forge with your Gotchi, but let's put that down the road and we'll just focus on safety with the rollout, and it's got to be in your wallet to forge or claim.
Okay, and if I understand well the third sentence, when you forge a wearable, it's going directly in the pocket of the Gotchi, or it's directly sent to your wallet?
I believe it would be sent to the wallet. I would have to talk to Diddley just to confirm that. But I think the way it works is it will be sent to your address.
Okay, no risk of. Yeah, the question was about if I sell my Gotchi and I forgot that I have something in the pocket, because I think at the beginning of Aavegotchi in 2021, that was sometime an issue, selling your Gotchi with some wearables in the pocket.
Right.
Okay.
It shouldn't. I don't think it's going to go to the pocket. It goes to the address that's the owner of the Gotchi. So
Okay.
if you're forging a godlike and you sell that Gotchi, that's the Gotchi that's working hard on it. That's the Gotchi that's forging it. And so whoever bought your Gotchi from you, like they now have that godlike that's being forged, and they'll be able to claim it. So it's going to be really important to know which of your Gotchis is forging something. And we're working to make that clear on the UI that, when you go to sell this Gotchi, there'll be a disclaimer saying, just so you know, this Gotchi is forging this item. Are you sure you still want to sell it? And we'll try to be clear to have a good user experience.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Very cool. There is two things that we didn't mention in the technical part. After we could go to the next part, but it's about essence. So essence is required when you want to create a pet or a godlike item, right? And you can only, you can get it by sacrificing a Gotchi. I think the number is 1,000, right? It's fixed. Whatever you sacrifice a Gotchi.
That's correct. Every Gotchi is equal in the terms of how much essence they have. It's 1,000. And then there's variable amounts of essence that are needed for each rarity tier of something that you're forging. And godlikes require 1,000 essence, so a whole Gotchi worth of essence.
Whoa.
Which is fun from a lore perspective. There's a living Gotchi inside of each godlike, and then each living pet in the Gotchiverse, this is a living creature. So there's kind of the spirit or life force, this essence inside of them that brings them to life.
Amazing. Okay, so we talked about that, and also the alloy, which is interesting. You said that the alloy is the image of the wearable market. So it's the kind of like the, I would say, the circulating supply, and by smelting, you get 90% of the alloy that would have required in order to forge the item. So it brings deflation, right?
That's correct. Yep. Every time someone smelts something, 10% of the alloy that was inside of it is lost. It's kind of an inefficient process. And that allows for deflation. And for this upcoming sale, there will be no alloy auctioned. There'll be no full wearables auctioned. So anytime anyone's engaging with the forge mechanic, it'll be deflationary to alloy, and we can change that variable if we need in the future. But I'm really excited about how this will support floor prices, because you can imagine that people might pick up the very cheapest wearable, melt it down for alloy, and make something else. And it's a really good mechanic, at least for NFTs especially, to find ways to support the floor price, because that will bring and lift everybody up and kind of help support the market as a whole. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to see here.
Yeah, it's incredible. Go look in your wallet if you have some common wearables. It's a good time, I guess.
I know. We're going to see a lot of wearables smelted. I think we're going to see thousands and thousands smelted, and that's really exciting to just remove a lot from the market that might have just been put on and weighed on the bazaar and weighed on valuations overall.
Yeah, even if it's non-financial advice.
Right.
We didn't say anything. Okay, so about the release, so two main releases to come, right? It's schematics and cores. You shared the tables. I think it was in your initial proposal, blog post number 1, and also your initial proposal in the DAO. So there is a fixed amount of new schematics, right? And also a fixed amount of cores. Can you confirm that the numbers are already settled?
Correct. Yep. There you can see the number of cores that are going to be auctioned off. This was the really big decision for us as a DAO, is how many cores, because this is what is inflating the specific slots, and where there tended to be a lot of discrepancy in what wearables existed. So we were really intentional about this, and Mikey J helped us find the right amount to auction off. And so there'll be quite a few new cores. Ones I'm especially excited about are like the common pet, for example. We need way more common pets. There's only 1,000 out there. So we're having a 30% increase in the amount, meaning there'll be 300 new cores. So soon, in the next couple of days or a week, you'll be able to see what that wearable set is, but it's super exciting, and there'll be at least 300 new of that special pet available for everybody to forge.
Okay, great. So it's gonna be all run in GBM auction, right? Schematics and cores.
So I'll clarify that for us. So the cores will always be GBM'd. This is where dilution can really impact stakeholders and the people that own these items. And so we wanted to make sure that any ghost earned from these sales go to rarity farming. So cores will be 100% GBM'd. If we sell alloy in the future or full wearables, same thing, where those will be GBM'd. Schematics, this is where we want inflation. We want new designs. We want community to be able to create new wearable designs. We want to fill in those gaps in what stats and traits are available. And so with that in mind, it's fun to utilize our raffle mechanic and try to make those a little bit more widely available. So schematics will be 60% GBM'd and 40% raffled. So there will be an initial GBM and then a raffle, hopefully a week after, to get some of those friends off the market, to give everybody a shot at some of these really cool designs. You guys are going to love the godlikes that Oliver designed, and it'll be fun to give it a try to land one or two of those.
Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of the same process that we all knew from the past with the last wearable release, in fact.
Exactly. And that was one of our goals, is how can this feel familiar to users, and having that process of a sale and then a raffle feels familiar, and then figuring out how to use it and how to forge and how to smelt will be a learning process, but I hope it's a fun one, and I hope our user interface and user experience delivers.
Okay. Cool. So I think with the 10% alloy, I would say an inefficient, you have 5% which is burned, and 5% which goes to the DAO, right?
That's correct.
So it also brings a bit of financing power to the DAO also, right? That's the idea behind it.
Correct. So you can imagine that if the DAO gets some alloy, so they'll get 5% of everything that's smelted, that we would be able to, as a DAO, GBM some full wearables in a way that doesn't have any inflation, because we'll be able to use the DAO alloy and perhaps have a very special like full wearable auction that can help fund rarity farming moving forward, or the DAO as a whole. Mm-hmm. But beyond just funding rarity farming, having some alloy as a DAO allows us to partner and consider interoperability, what other protocols or NFT projects would be interested in, kind of having some crossover with the items in their world, and like how could we get some of theirs and ours, similar to like what Essence can do. Like how can we bring other NFT projects to life in the Gotchiverse, or use that composability in our favor. And the DAO having some amount of alloy will hopefully make those interactions and potential alliances more possible.
Yeah. Also a good way to incentivize some specific events or anything. It's a very
Correct.
good idea.
You can imagine that would be fun loot, you know, if you're doing some quest or some event and you can get some alloy in it. That would be fun, and one of the possible things I envision for it.
Maybe in Sandbox experience one day.
For sure. Exactly. Assuming there's no issues there, we will be able to launch. And I kind of am hoping that we have the user interface out so people can get familiar with that here in the next couple weeks. Within 2 weeks, I hope. And then along that same time frame, we should be able to have the GBM and raffle. Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch the market and to kind of see how each of the different components like price themselves. And it's going to be hard to predict, like, what are these cores going to be worth on the market? Is it going to be cheaper to use the base components to forge it, or just to buy it at floor price? And I'm not really sure, but the Aavegotchi market tends to be pretty efficient, and so I bet we'll reach that point of equilibrium quickly.
Nice. As you know, we're working on the Sandbox Experience project, and we were thinking about the fact that in some places it could be very cool to have the Forge integrated in the experience. So don't hesitate if in the near future you have more visual to share. We'd be very happy to work on that.
Oh, I love that idea. We don't have too much from a visual perspective yet, outside of kind of what you guys have seen here, but would happy to work on it, pair Oliver with you guys, and bring the Forge to life in the sandbox. So I think we would all like that.
Awesome. Definitely. In order to finish this interview, we have one last question for you. Are you going to try to forge a godlike item?
I think I am going to try. I don't know if I'll be successful. I've been trying to do the math, but I think I'm going to smelt down a couple of my mythicals, and I have 100 commons to smelt, and I'm gonna go for it. So stay tuned. I'm excited to give it a try.
We're waiting for the tweet.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm hoping to be the first one to do it, but I'm sure someone will beat me to it.
Okay, then.
And then kind of last point for me, I just want to thank you guys for the work you're doing. I'm so proud of the Forge team. Really bullish on what Aavegotchi is capable of with builders and allowing people to build on top of this protocol. Like, anything is possible when we work really hard and have good ideas and work together as a DAO and use our broad skill sets. I'm proud to be here with you guys and celebrate both what you're doing in the Forge team.
Well said. we couldn't have said better. And yeah, massive work you should have put in that, as it's melting smart contracts, design, game mechanics, tokenomics. So very nice work, and we're looking forward to being able to test it for sure.
Me too.
Okay, then I think it's a wrap. So thank you very much for being here with us. We're going to share that to the community soon. And then we're going to stay tuned for the next release.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.